Everyone has their own idea of a perfect home, lifestyle, and happy place. I'm writing this on the last night of my trip, and I still haven't quite found the answers for myself. I have learned that sometimes it's okay to not know where you're going next. My goal is to lead you on a personal journey, both physical day-to-day life on the road, and more importantly, an emotional journey that will be with me forever. Friends and memories will be made, trails will be hiked, and luck will surely go both ways. Where are you heading next was the most common question from this past year. From time to time, I knew exactly where I was going, but sometimes a vague answer was a necessity. If there's one thing I can promise, I was either currently outside or planning my next adventure in the great outdoors. In the summer of 2021, I quit my job. I found myself with no place to live, no rent to pay, no boss to look up to, no obligations, and no particular place to be. After watching countless of hours of YouTube during lockdown of people truck camping, backpacking, road tripping, and trekking through the world, it was now my turn. In a very quick turnaround, I bought a truck and ordered a camper shell that would take 3 months to arrive. In the meantime, I planned a road trip to as many states as possible, ordered a ridiculous amount of gear, and outfitted my truck exactly to my liking. That was the day when all things were but a step away. Home based in Virginia, I decided to use those long 3 months and check off my home state, as well as some of the surrounding states. I packed my things and was off to Shenandoah National Park, the best park in the country, of course. I went on a few overnight backpacking trips in peak mugginess and heat of the summer. It was definitely brutal, but I was treated with some awesome trails and plenty of wildlife. Wow, what a beast. Next stop was the newest national park in the country, the New River Gorge. A rugged whitewater river flowing north through a steep rhododendron-covered gorge. This park covers 70,000 acres with a deep-rooted mining history. With free camping along the river, plenty of hiking trails to explore, waterfalls to visit, and whitewater rafting, this park turned out to be one of the most underrated I visited the entire trip.
I appreciate you, dude. I think I may know better to do this shit his whole life, but I swear, man, the walleye's tearing it up.
After helping a local with a quick jump start, it was time to raft down the famous New River. Some of my coldest nights were spent in western Maryland near the Pennsylvania border. It was fun to spend a relaxing weekend cooking, testing my gear, flying the drone, and listening on the radio to Jorge Soler and the Braves outslug the Astros to win the World Series. Any ham and eggs?
Oh, I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It's okay. She was way out of my league anyway. It's all good. She was whipping around an Escalade or something like that. So. Finally, a breakfast that isn't oatmeal either. Day trip to Deal Island on the eastern shore taught me about the old fishing history of the Chesapeake Bay and showed me the bleak realities of an island sinking into the bay as sea levels rise. Spending the day driving on Assateague Island was one to remember. It turned out to be a secluded beach in the off-season with wild ponies and an awesome beach view. I picked up some fresh crab meat and cooked crab cakes and potatoes with plenty of Old Bay. Beautiful sunset was the icing on the cake. The first mishap was a flat tire on my way to Delaware, but this did not stop me from enjoying some awesome Dover museums and tasty boardwalk pizza at Rehoboth Beach.
So if you listen closely, you can almost hear the needle as it's going across the record.
3 months felt like an eternity, but my cat finally arrived and it was time to get to work. All my gear was ready, but I had to build the bed platform and drawer. Luckily, my dad helped me out with the design and building process, and my mom to sew the blackout curtains with magnets. It was at this point when the trip started to feel real.
Isn't that cool?
The final installation was a surprise early Christmas present, a roof rack and a batwing awning. With only a week before Christmas, I headed out. Pit stop in Richmond to visit a couple friends, and I was off to the Pisgah National Forest and the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina.
My last day here in Asheville. You know, I've noticed a decent amount of homeless people around Asheville. I think it'd be really easy to just make some food and give out to the homeless. Hopefully they appreciated them. I only made like 12 sandwiches, but hopefully they like them. Happy holidays. You want a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich? All right, back on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's definitely going to be interesting finding a camping spot in this area.
The Smoky Mountains deserved way more time than I gave it, but I was still able to find and climb the highest elevation fire tower east of the Mississippi. I had an open mind about Congaree National Park near Columbia, South Carolina. It is one of the least visited national parks, but it's home to some of the last largest remaining intact expanse of old-growth bottomland hardwood forest. The Wateree and Congaree rivers provide a rich ecosystem for so many different birds, wild pigs, foxes, deer, otters, and more. Walk the boardwalks through the cypress-filled forests at daybreak, and you will hear a symphony of woodpeckers searching for a morning snack. Couple days of bird watching and I was hungry for some makeshift biscuits and gravy, with croissants of course. Gravy turned out way too thick, but it's a work in progress. South of Savannah, Georgia is Clay Hole Swamp, stomping grounds for the first truly off-grid truck camping stop of the trip. This wildlife management swampland was filled with wild turkeys, pigs, and barred owls hooting through the evenings. Fried green tomatoes, shrimp and grits, and a sweet 4-ingredient peach cobbler were the cooking highlights from this awesome spot. Few-day pit stop in Jacksonville, and I was ready to head towards the southern tip of Florida. After a really cool paddleboard tour of Biscayne Bay, I was hungry for fish tacos with a mango and jalapeno salsa. Hiking 6 miles in the Everglades led to no less than 50 bug bites, mostly on my filming hand and on my shoulder, even through my shirt. So many species of birds, and even saw a couple blue crab. Luckily, or maybe unluckily, no croc or gator sightings.
The crab, blue crab. Where are you gonna go? He only has one pincer, look at that.
Shout out to my Uncle Mike in Osprey for letting me crash a couple nights and recover. Caught up with T-Rob and Emily in St. Pete and drove to the Panhandle. Found myself surrounded by hunters in Apalachicola, but it was a gorgeous sunset and a clear night sky full of stars. Had some Indian fry bread for dessert, and Sweet Home Alabama started to get stuck in my head as I typed in Mobile, Alabama into Google Maps. There was freezing rain in New Orleans for a few days in a row, but I managed to find some time to walk around the French Quarter and Bourbon Street. Of course, got some decadent beignets and hot chocolate from Café du Monde and visited the sculpture gardens. Lake Pontchartrain was an awesome backdrop to chef up some shrimp po' boys loaded up with Cajun seasoning. Much to many people's surprise, I decided to stealth camp in the French Quarter and just park on the street.
Louisiana is checked off the map and on to Mississippi.
One night in Mississippi was all I really needed to deem it the worst state in the U.S. Even so, it does have some interesting historical sites of old mansions, monuments, and of course the Vicksburg battlefield.
I don't wanna wait.
It felt almost a little eerie camping along the quartz-riddled shores of Lake Washita in the off-season. With the exception to a few bass fishers, I had the lake to myself. The camping trip, along with a visit to Hot Springs National Park and the State High Point Magazine Mountain, were the highlights of Arkansas. I made it to the Fort Smith Chili's to watch the Super Bowl and enjoy some triple dipper appetizers. I just drove here from Oklahoma City this morning after a great visit in Tulsa. Now I'm continuing the trip. So this is Indiahoma, Oklahoma at the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. Head to the Wichita Mountains of southwestern Oklahoma if you enjoy hiking rugged terrain alongside a healthy American bison herd and of course plenty of longhorns. I prepared some onion cheeseburgers and hiked to Little Baldy for an amazing sunset panorama.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Corpus Christi, Texas is the home of the original Whataburger, so I had to try my hand at copying the famous patty melt. 2 flat patties with cheese, onions, and a special sauce in between some good old Texas toast. I managed to fend off some seagulls by the water and enjoyed the juicy burgers before heading to Padre Island to truck camp on the beach for a few nights. The longest stretch of road up until this point was crossing Texas all the way to Big Bend National Park. La Clocha was a favorite camping spot along the Rio Grande and the Mexican border. Definitely take the rowboat across the border into the tiny Mexican village of Boquillas del Carmen. So it's been closed off for a while?
Oh yeah, 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
When did it open? Just
November last year.
November, okay.
Yeah.
A visit to the Guadalupe Mountains was essential to hike Hunter Peak to the top of Texas. That's where I'm going, Hunter Peak. Oh my God. You can see the Guadalupe Trail very clearly. And it winds all the way up the mountain to Guadalupe Peak up there. Hello! Woo! I mean, come on, this has to count as the top of Texas. Surprisingly, I spent the most days out of any state in New Mexico. Following a visit to Valles Caldera and the Longmire Cabin, I got snowed in at a campsite in the Santa Fe National Forest. A few nights were spent here overlooking the forested mountain slopes while enjoying campfires and cooking delicious pozole and huevos rancheros. I have no doubts in my mind I will return to this spot someday. Well, I'm currently on Mars, as it looks like. Is this, dude? The Bisty Badlands felt exactly like Tatooine, straight out of a Star Wars movie. No trails or markers made it feel like untouched wilderness. High winds and absolutely no shade made this some of the harshest conditions I experienced. It's pretty crazy to be out here when the sun is setting. Instead of heading into Colorado, a jaunt into the southern Arizona was in store before it got too hot. More specifically, Tucson and Saguaro National Park. Another fantastic off-season campsite at Oregon Pipe Cactus National Monument. Sunsets in the desert are always a gift, both for viewing pleasure and mild temperatures. What the hell? Holy shit. This is insane. It was good. I'm not gonna steal any of your food. It's alright.
Two pieces of meat in that container right now.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's all leftovers. Help yourself. All right, brother man.
Thank you.
There you go. You
Appreciate
enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Thanks. What an eventful time in the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge. I was definitely glad to meet new friends from San Diego for a nice evening sharing overlanding and travel stories. Never thought I'd spend my 26th birthday in Yuma, Arizona, but at least I was escaping the inevitable spring allergies of Oakton, Virginia. I definitely was not escaping the high gas prices as I was gearing up to enter Cali and visit Joshua Tree. For the first time, I decided to get a much-needed hotel room at the Link in Vegas. Quick barbecue bacon cheeseburger and a beer at Guy Fieri's restaurant, and I spent the evening walking the strip and checking out some of the casinos. Talk about a contrast from wilderness truck camping, that's for sure. Meanwhile, I plan my next stops to Death Valley, Kings Canyon, and Sequoia National Parks. I found a pretty sweet campsite. The area is just past Lone Pine, California, which is near Keeler, and it's a pretty badass campsite. There's a bear. There's a bear across the creek there. I'm trying to see if there's multiple, if there's a little one. One of the most memorable weekends was spent backpacking above the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir. Few black bears, alpine lakes, a black snake, and a raging campfire left me only wanting more of Yosemite. On the second evening, another black bear saunters through the Tiltil Valley as I'm setting up camp and prepping dinner. I suppose the fellow was doing just the same. A few days later, I found myself at the crux of the trip. I was looking forward to Utah and Colorado from the day I bought my truck. The ever so popular Zion Canyon was first on the list. I failed a couple times to get a lottery ticket for Angel's Landing, so instead I hiked the Narrows. This hike requires trudging through the narrowest section of the Virgin River, looking up 1,000 feet up the gorgeous Red Rock Canyon walls. As a youngin', I was lucky enough to visit the south rim of the almighty Grand Canyon. I felt like I had to revisit, this time, the north rim. "11 native tribes used to call this 250-mile stretch of the Colorado River home. Millions of years of erosion has gifted us visitors some of the most impressive landscapes in the world." Rounding out the rest of Utah, I stopped at Bryce, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Arches National Parks. Another stop at Mesa Verde in Colorado, and I found home for a few nights in the San Juan Mountains. Backpacking trip cut short, and a quick visit to the Black Canyon of the Gunnison allowed me to meet up with my cousin and his now fiance in Boulder. We hiked and camped at Rocky Mountain National Park before parting ways for the first time. They headed to the Tetons while I planned a backpacking trip in the Wind River Range of Wyoming.
Let him do his thing.
Oh, there's the freaking bear too.
Coming this way. Let's go the other way. So.
For the past few weeks, I've had one thing and one thing only on my mind: Alaska. A brutal yet splendid 3 days of 12 to 14 hour drives on the Alcan, and I made it to the Wrangell St. Elias Mountains. Alright, here it is, Caribou Creek Trail. 3 miles one way, 3 to 4 hours total. stumbled across a beautiful backcountry cabin and really wish I had the gear to cook and spend the night. I have my parents to thank because a couple days later they gifted me a plane ride over the jaw-dropping mountains and glaciers of the Wrangell St. Elias Range. What a truly magical sight to behold. I am in the absolute deep wilderness of Alaska right now. My 3-night backpacking trip along the Teklanika River and Denali National Park was the highlight of my entire road trip. This wild braided river flows north from headwaters at the Cantwell Glacier through vast regions of alpine tundra and boreal forest. Pure trailless wilderness did not disappoint at all. After this excursion, I felt completely satisfied with my Alaska visit, and a quick oil change in Fairbanks, I was headed off back to the mainland. My plan was fairly simple re-entering the contiguous 48. Step 1, the trio of Washington parks. Step 2, drive the 101 down the Oregon coast. And step 3, Yellowstone. An overnighter in Nebraska, and I was eager to get to the Badlands. 250,000 acres of mixed grass prairie where bison, bighorn sheep, and prairie dogs call home make South Dakota the most underrated state. I guess Mount Rushmore ain't so bad either. Theodore Roosevelt originally came to the Dakota Territory in 1883. He quickly fell in love and invested $14,000 into a ranch along the Little Missouri River, where he spent a ton of time. I completely understand the appeal, as I too fell in love with the vast exposed layers of rock, the rolling prairie hills, and the free-roaming buffalo. It had been 9 months since the trip started, since I had been home, and since I'd seen my parents. We met up for a couple nights on a houseboat at Voyageurs National Park, and it was here where I saw the northern lights for the first time.
careful about this because if he thrashes, it can hurt his mouth. Get him in your grass. Actually, about the same size as the other one.
I bid adieu to the houseboat squad and kept it moving. Alright, well this is a spur of the moment decision, but I decided I'm gonna go on a little backpacking trip tonight. I'm here at the Apostle Islands National Lake Shore. It seems like an awesome park, perfect for boating, kayaking, anything really on Lake Superior. As you can tell, the weather is a little bit iffy for the next couple days. So if I can't go out on the water, I figured I would do a backpacking trip. A waterfall tour of Michigan's Upper Peninsula uncovered some hidden gems I definitely was not expecting. I'll spare any mean comments about Indiana or the Dunes National Park. The only real reason you should visit if you're trying to visit every national park, in my opinion. That being said, I did cook some delicious corn on the cob in a foil pack on the fire. At this moment, I had about a week to make it back to Oklahoma for a wedding. I spent a night camping along the Mississippi River on the Illinois-Iowa border right across from Davenport. We knocked off a few Midwest states and hooked up with Route 66 all the way to Oklahoma City. After somehow surviving a bout of mono, the trip continued through the Ohio River Valley with stops at Mammoth Cave, Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland. Beautiful day was spent at Presque Isle State Park in Erie, Pennsylvania, an arching, sandy peninsula jutting into Lake Erie. New York is an absolute gem. The city kind of sucks. The city's alright, but Buffalo, Niagara, the Finger Lake region, and every state park that includes a waterfall is an absolute must visit. Letchworth State Park in particular is better than a ton of national parks and deserves so much more recognition.
Oh my god.
I dusted off the cobwebs and put what little French I remember to use. Quebec City seemed to be the charming little brother of Montreal and a perfect tourist destination for the upcoming winter months. After spending a couple weeks in the Francophone cities, I had a hankering for camping off-grid in the Maine woods. The off-grid camping continued, first in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, followed by the Green Mountains of Vermont. Made some quick stops at New England waterfalls and the Cliff Walk in Newport, Rhode Island, before meeting up with my family in Cheshire, Connecticut for Turkey Day. Shout out to the Marcouille and Anderson crew. As I thought back to the past 12 months on the road, I couldn't really help but to cry. To be completely honest with you, I crawled myself out of the darkest moments of my life, had a vision for a life-changing journey, and I followed it. I made so many memories I'll never forget, and made friends I only hope but to keep for my entire lifetime. I found numerous of spectacular campsites, many of which I hope to return to someday. Where are you heading next, they ask? I still got no clue. This feels absolutely surreal. It's the very last morning of the trip. Just woke up in New Jersey. But I think I'm heading out. And I'm heading home. 370 nights out in the truck. But this trip has come to an end, and it's time to make my way back to Virginia.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? I'm here with Kitty Boy. Pew, 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 pew. That's where you put in the pew, pew, pew effects. Kitty Boy, how long have we been waiting for this moment?
Approximately 6 months.
And this is where you do a transition that zooms in, and then oh, black screen, and then it shows up at this angle. Okay, black screen. I was guiding Alaska, and then I black screen, and then you transition to Alaska. This is good content.